Have you ever had that heart-stopping moment when you realize you've sent a text to exactly the wrong person? That's what happened to Darius Mitchell, a black single father who made one small slip that would change his life forever. But what he didn't know, as he stared in horror at his phone that night, was that his biggest mistake would lead to his greatest happiness, though not before nearly costing him everything he'd worked for. Darius's thumb hovered over his phone screen, his stomach dropping as he realized what he'd done. My boss is so hot it should be illegal. Can't focus when she wears that blue dress. The message had gone not to his best friend Mike, but to Sophia Reynolds, his boss, the very woman he just described. What happens next will leave you speechless. Darius Mitchell had been raising his 8-year-old daughter Amara alone since his wife Keisha passed away 3 years ago. Between being a full-time dad and working as a marketing executive at Reynolds Publishing, dating was the last thing on his mind. That is, until Sophia Reynolds took over as CEO 6 months ago. Sophia had inherited the publishing company from her father, who retired early after a health scare. With her long, silky blonde hair that caught the light when she moved and a confidence that commanded every room she entered, she was intimidating to most of the staff. But beneath her perfect exterior and professional demeanor, Sophia was fighting her own battles. The board members, particularly Richard Blackwood, her father's oldest friend, constantly questioned her decisions, waiting for her to fail so they could push her out. Darius's phone buzzed. A reply from Sophia. My office, 8 a.m. tomorrow. If you're enjoying this story so far, hit that like button and let me know in the comments if you've ever sent a text to the wrong person. Darius barely slept that night. By morning, he had convinced himself he was about to be fired. How would he support Amara? How would he explain losing his job over something so stupid? As he dropped Amara off at school, he hugged her extra tight. What's wrong, Daddy? She asked, her warm brown eyes looking up at him, her little curls pulled back neat for the day. Nothing, sweetheart, just love you a lot today. More than yesterday, she giggled, their usual morning routine. Always more than yesterday, he replied, forcing a smile. The Reynolds Publishing building loomed before him like a monolith of doom. Darius's dark brown hands were clammy as he rode the elevator to the executive floor. Sophia's assistant nodded for him to go straight in. Sophia sat behind her desk, the morning light streaming through the floor-to-ceiling windows behind her. She wore a crisp white blouse today, her hair pulled back in a sleek ponytail. Her expression revealed nothing. Close the door, Darius. So... He did as instructed, then stood awkwardly, unsure if he should sit. About last night's text, he began, his voice strained. I am so incredibly sorry. It was completely unprofessional and... Sit down, she interrupted, her voice cool and controlled. Darius sat, bracing himself for the inevitable. I have a proposal for you, Sophia said, sliding a folder across her desk. The Hartman account. They're looking for a fresh approach to their campaign. I want you to lead it. Darius blinked in confusion. What? You're not firing me? A slight smile played at the corner of Sophia's lips. Should I? Most people would. I'm not most people, Darius. You're one of our best creatives. Your personal opinions about my wardrobe choices, while inappropriately expressed, don't change that fact. Darius felt a rush of relief, quickly followed by embarrassment. Thank you. It won't happen again. See that it doesn't, she replied. But there was something in her eyes, amusement perhaps, that made his heart skip. The Hartman presentation is in 2 weeks. Don't make me regret this decision. What Darius didn't know was that Sophia had her own reasons for keeping him around. Reasons that would soon test both their professional boundaries and their hearts in ways neither could imagine. The Hartman campaign consumed Darius's days and nights. He was determined to prove himself worthy of the second chance Sophia had given him. Meanwhile, Amara was struggling with her own challenges. Her teacher called to report she'd been getting into arguments with classmates. She misses her mother, Darius explained to Miss Garcia during their parent-teacher conference. The anniversary of her death is coming up. She needs stability, Mr. Mitchell, and perhaps some female influence in her life, Miss Garcia said. Darius nodded, the weight of single parenthood feeling heavier than usual. That evening, as he tucked Amara into bed, she asked the question that always broke his heart. "Do you think Mommy can see me from heaven?" "I know she can, sweetheart," he whispered, smoothing her hair, the soft coils springing back under his palm. "And she's so proud of you." "Then why am I so sad sometimes?" Amara's voice was small in the darkness. Darius held his daughter close, wishing he had better answers. "Because we love her, and it's okay to miss people we love." After Amara fell asleep, Darius returned to his laptop to work on the Hartman presentation. At midnight, his phone buzzed with a text from Sophia. "How's the campaign coming?" He hesitated before responding, making progress, still at it. Her reply came quickly. "Don't burn yourself out. We need you at your best." The simple exchange left Darius staring at his phone, wondering what it meant. Was it just professional concern, or something more? And why did it matter so much to him? If this story is resonating with you, please subscribe to see more content like this. Your support means everything. The day of the Hartman presentation arrived. Darius had barely slept, perfecting every detail. The clients filled the conference room along with the executive team and board members. Richard Blackwood sat next to Sophia, whispering something that made her frown. Darius began his presentation confidently, but halfway through, Richard interrupted. "This approach is too risky. The Hartman brand has always been traditional." Before Darius could defend his work, Sophia spoke up. "That's precisely why they came to us, Richard. They're losing market share to younger, more innovative competitors." Richard's eyes narrowed. "I've been in this business longer than you've been alive, Sophia. The board has concerns about your judgment lately." The tension in the room was palpable. Darius watched as Sophia straightened her shoulders, her expression calm, but her eyes flashing with determination. "Then let's let the clients decide," she said, turning to the Hartman team. "What do you think of the direction Darius has proposed?" To everyone's surprise, the Hartman CEO broke into a wide smile. "It's exactly what we've been looking for. Fresh, bold, but still respects our core values. We love it." The meeting ended with handshakes and congratulations. As the room cleared, Sophia caught Darius's eye and gave him a small nod of approval that felt more rewarding than any bonus could be. Later that afternoon, Richard cornered Darius in the break room. "You think you've won her over, don't you?" "Excuse me?" Darius replied, confused. "Sophia, I saw how you looked at her, but let me give you some advice. She's not interested in office romances. She's interested in saving this company from her own inexperience. Don't mistake professional courtesy for something more." Darius felt his face flush. "I don't know what you're talking about. We have a strictly professional relationship." Richard laughed coldly. "Keep it that way. The board is watching her every move. One misstep and we'll have cause to vote her out. Don't be that misstep, Mitchell." The warning left Darius shaken. Was he that transparent? And more importantly, was he putting Sophia's position at risk with his feelings? That evening, as Darius worked late again, Sophia appeared in his office doorway. "We should celebrate the Hartman win," she said. "Dinner tomorrow night." Darius thought of Richard's warning. "I don't know if that's a good idea." Sophia's expression shifted almost imperceptibly. "It's just dinner, Darius, to thank you for your hard work." "I appreciate that, but—" He hesitated. "I have Amara to consider." "Bring her," Sophia suggested. "I'd love to meet her." The invitation surprised him. "You would?" "Of course. We can go somewhere kid-friendly." And so, against his better judgment, Darius agreed. What he didn't realize was that this simple dinner would set in motion events that would force both him and Sophia to confront what they really wanted and what they were willing to risk to get it. If you're invested in Darius and Sophia's story, give this video a thumbs up and share it with someone who appreciates a good, slow burn romance. The restaurant Sophia chose was upscale but welcoming, with a special menu for children. Amara, dressed in her favorite purple dress, was on her best behavior, though she eyed Sophia with curious suspicion. "So, you're my daddy's boss?" she asked bluntly as they waited for their food. Sophia smiled. "I am, and your dad is one of my most valuable employees." "He works too much," Amara declared. "Sometimes he falls asleep on the couch with his computer." Darius felt his cheeks warm. "Amara, It's okay, Sophia laughed. I probably work too much too. Do you have kids? Amara asked. A shadow crossed Sophia's face. No, I don't. Why not? Don't you like kids? That's enough questions, Darius intervened, but Sophia shook her head. I love kids. Actually, she told Amara, I just haven't found the right time or the right person to have them with. Something in her tone made Darius look at her more closely. There was vulnerability there he hadn't seen before. The evening progressed with surprising ease. Sophia was wonderful with Amara, asking about her school and friends, listening intently to her 8-year-old perspectives. By dessert, Amara had decided Sophia was pretty cool for a grown-up. As they walked to their cars afterward, Amara skipped ahead, leaving Darius and Sophia a moment alone. Thank you for tonight, Darius said. Amara doesn't warm up to people easily since her mom died. Sophia's eyes softened. She's a remarkable little girl. You're doing an amazing job with her, Darius. Some days I'm not so sure, he admitted. That's how you know you're a good parent, she said gently. You worry about whether you're doing it right. Their eyes met, and for a moment Darius forgot all the reasons why he shouldn't be falling for his boss. Then Amara called for him, breaking the spell. Good night, Sophia, he said, stepping back. Good night, Darius, she replied, and he could have sworn there was regret in her voice. The next morning, Darius arrived at work to find the office buzzing with tension. Richard Blackwood stood in Sophia's office, his voice raised enough to be heard through the glass walls. Sophia stood her ground, her posture rigid but dignified. Darius's assistant leaned over. A board meeting was called this morning. Rumor is they're challenging Sophia's leadership. Darius felt a surge of protectiveness. He knew Sophia was more than capable of handling herself, but he hated seeing her undermined, especially as a black man in spaces like this, where people sometimes watched for any excuse to question who belonged. When Richard finally stormed out, Darius waited a respectful amount of time before knocking on Sophia's door. Everything okay? He asked. She looked up, her professional mask firmly in place. Nothing I can't handle. The board is concerned about some of my recent decisions. The Hartman campaign was a success. It's not just about Hartman. She hesitated. Richard saw us at dinner last night. Darius's stomach dropped. And that's a problem. It could be if he chooses to make it one, she sighed. The board is looking for any excuse to question my judgment. It was just dinner, Darius said, echoing her words from before. Sophia looked at him for a long moment. Was it? The question hung between them, loaded with unspoken possibilities. Before Darius could answer, his phone rang. Amara's school. His daughter had fallen on the playground and needed to be picked up. I have to go, he said apologetically. Amara's hurt. Concern immediately replaced everything else in Sophia's expression. Of course, go. Is she okay? They think it's just a sprained wrist. Keep me updated, she asked, and the genuine worry in her voice touched him. I will. As Darius rushed to his daughter, he couldn't help but think about Sophia's question. Was it just dinner? The truth was, it hadn't been. Not for him. And based on the look in her eyes, not for her either. But with Richard watching their every move and Amara to consider, what could they possibly do about it? If you're on the edge of your seat wondering what happens next, hit that subscribe button so you don't miss any of our stories. Amara's injury was indeed just a sprain, but the doctor recommended she stay home from school the next day. Darius called the office to say he'd be working remotely. Take all the time you need, Sophia told him. Family comes first. The following day, as Darius helped Amara build a fort in the living room, her favorite sick day activity, his doorbell rang. To his astonishment, Sophia stood on his porch holding a gift bag. I hope this isn't overstepping, she said, suddenly looking uncertain. I just thought Amara might like something to cheer her up. Darius invited her in, touched by the gesture. Amara was delighted with the present, a craft kit for making friendship bracelets. Can we make one now? She asked Sophia eagerly. If your dad doesn't mind me staying a while, Sophia replied, looking to Darius for permission. He should have said no. He should have maintained professional boundaries. Instead, he said, we'd love that. The afternoon unfolded in a way Darius couldn't have imagined. His boss sitting cross-legged on his living room floor, helping his daughter create colorful bracelets, laughing at Amara's jokes, sharing stories of her own childhood. In those hours, she wasn't Sophia Reynolds, CEO. She was just Sophia, a woman with a gentle smile who looked at his daughter with genuine affection. A framed photo of a beautiful black family, Darius, Keisha, and baby Amara, sat on a shelf nearby, watching over them like a quiet witness to how far they'd come. When Amara finally tired and went to nap, Darius and Sophia moved to the kitchen. "Coffee?" he offered. "Please." She leaned against the counter, watching him. "You have a lovely home. It feels lived in, happy." "We try," he said, handing her a mug. "It hasn't always been easy since Keisha died, but Amara and we're figuring it out." "She would be proud of you both," Sophia said softly. Darius looked at her in surprise. "That's exactly what I tell Amara, because it's true." Sophia took a sip of her coffee. "Darius, about yesterday, I shouldn't have put you in that position. Asked you if it was just dinner. That wasn't fair." "Why not?" "Because I'm your boss. Because there are complications. Because Richard Blackwood is looking for any reason to undermine you," Darius finished. She nodded. "Among other things." "What other things?" Sophia set down her mug. "I like you, Darius, more than I should, and it scares me." The admission hung in the air between them, honest, vulnerable. "It scares me too," he confessed. "Not just because you're my boss, but because I haven't felt this way since Keisha. I didn't think I could." Sophia stepped closer. "What do we do about it?" "I don't know," Darius admitted. "But I do know that I'm tired of pretending I don't feel something when I do." Their eyes met, and for a moment it seemed like they might bridge the gap between them. Then Darius's phone rang, Richard Blackwood's name flashing on the screen. The spell broke. Sophia stepped back. "You should get that," Darius answered, and Richard's smug voice filled his ear. "Emergency board meeting tomorrow morning. Sophia's leadership is being formally challenged. Thought you should know, since you two seem close." After he hung up, Darius relayed the message to Sophia, whose face had gone pale. "I need to go," she said, gathering her things. "I have calls to make, preparations." "Let me help," Darius offered. She paused at his door. "You already have, more than you know. Take care of Amara. I'll handle this." But as she left, Darius knew he couldn't just stand by. Sophia had given him a second chance when most would have fired him. She'd shown kindness to his daughter, and somewhere along the way she'd awakened parts of his heart he thought had died with Keisha. That night, after Amara was asleep, Darius made a decision that could cost him everything, but might just save what mattered most. Don't forget to like and share this video if you're rooting for Darius and Sophia to find a way through this challenge. The Reynolds Publishing boardroom was tense the next morning. Darius sat at the back, having arrived early to observe. Board members filed in, followed by Richard Blackwood, who smirked when he spotted Darius. "Come to watch the fall of the Queen," Richard murmured as he passed. Sophia entered last, immaculate in a tailored navy suit, her expression revealing nothing of the vulnerability Darius had witnessed the day before. She nodded professionally to everyone, including Darius, though her eyes lingered on his for just a moment longer. "Let's begin," she said, taking her seat at the head of the table. Richard wasted no time. "The board has concerns about recent leadership decisions that put the company's stability at risk. We believe a vote of no confidence is warranted." "On what grounds specifically?" Sophia asked calmly. "Risky client strategies, questionable personnel decisions, and—" Richard paused dramatically. "Inappropriate personal relationships that compromise professional judgment." The room fell silent. All eyes turned to Darius, then back to Sophia. "If you're referring to my dinner with Darius Mitchell and his daughter," Sophia said evenly, "that was a professional courtesy to thank a valuable employee for saving the Hartman account. An account, I might add, that has already increased our quarterly projections by 15%. "It's more than that," Richard insisted. "Sources say you visited his home yesterday." Darius stood up, unable to remain silent. "Yes, she did. To bring a get-well gift to my injured 8-year-old daughter. If that's your definition of inappropriate, Richard, then perhaps your values don't align with what this company stands for. Mr. Mitchell, you're not a board member, Richard snapped. Blunt, simple, and you have no standing here. Actually, Darius said, pulling out a folder, I'd like to present something relevant to this discussion. He distributed copies of documents to each board member. These are emails between Richard Blackwood and Hartman's competitors dating back 6 months. He's been actively undermining Sophia's leadership by leaking company strategies and attempting to sabotage client relationships. Gasps filled the room. Richard's face turned crimson. This is preposterous. Where did you get these? From Hartman themselves, Darius replied. They approached me after our successful presentation, concerned about information leaks. It seems they received anonymous tips about our strategy, tips that could only have come from someone in this room. The board members began murmuring among themselves, reviewing the evidence. This is a desperate attempt to distract from the real issue, Richard sputtered. And what is the real issue, Richard? Sophia asked, her voice steady. That I'm a woman running my father's company, that I've increased our profits by 20% in 6 months? Or that you've been waiting for me to fail since day one? One of the older board members cleared his throat. These emails appear authentic. Richard, care to explain? As Richard fumbled for explanations, Darius caught Sophia's eye. The gratitude in her gaze was mixed with something deeper, something that made his heart race. If you're enjoying this dramatic turn of events, hit that like button and let me know in the comments what you think will happen next. The emergency board meeting ended with Richard Blackwood being escorted from the building and a unanimous vote of confidence in Sophia's leadership. As the board members filed out offering congratulations and apologies, Sophia remained seated, processing the dramatic shift in her professional fortune. Darius waited until they were alone before approaching her. I hope I didn't overstep. She looked up at him, her professional mask finally slipping to reveal genuine emotion. You saved my career today. How did you really get those emails? I found them when doing routine security checks, Darius said. Hartman came to me because they knew we were working on the account together. He sat beside her. Richard has been trying to undermine you from the beginning. The company deserves better. You deserve better. Why did you do it, Darius? You risked your own position. Because it was the right thing to do, he said simply. Then, more softly, and because I care about you, Sophia, not just as my boss. She reached for his hand, her fingers intertwining with his. What happens now? That depends, he replied. Company policy on workplace relationships is determined by the CEO, isn't it? A smile tugged at her lips. It is. And this CEO believes that with proper disclosure and professional boundaries, such relationships needn't be prohibited. In that case, Darius said, would you like to have dinner with me and Amara again? Just the three of us. I'd like that very much, she answered, her eyes shining. 3 months later, Darius and Sophia had established a new normal. Their relationship, properly disclosed to HR, had blossomed beyond either's expectations. More importantly, Sophia had formed a genuine bond with Amara, who delighted in having another adult who cared about her science project and bedtime stories. One evening, as they prepared dinner together in Darius's kitchen while Amara did homework at the table, Sophia broached a subject that had been on her mind. The anniversary of Keisha's death is next week, she said quietly. Amara mentioned it yesterday. Darius nodded, his hands stilling on the vegetables he was chopping. It's always a difficult day. I was thinking, Sophia continued carefully, maybe we could do something special to honor her memory. Something that helps Amara feel connected to her mom. Darius looked at her, touched by her thoughtfulness. That would be really wonderful. Thank you for understanding how important that is. Keisha will always be part of your lives, Sophia said. I would never want to change that. Later that night, after Amara was asleep, Darius and Sophia sat on his porch swing, looking at the stars. I never expected this, Darius admitted. After Keisha died, I thought that part of my life was over. I was focused on being a dad, on keeping my job, on just getting through each day. And I never expected to find someone who saw me as more than just the boss, Sophia replied. Someone who would stand up for me when it mattered. but also challenge me when I needed it. One accidental text message, Darius marveled. Who would have thought it would lead here? Sophia laughed softly. The universe works in mysterious ways. Speaking of that text, Darius said, a mischievous glint in his eye, I still think you look incredible in that blue dress. Is that so? She teased. Maybe I should wear it more often. Maybe you should, he agreed, pulling her closer. As they sat together under the night sky, Darius realized that sometimes our biggest mistakes lead to our greatest happiness. His accidental text had set in motion a chain of events that brought light back into his and Amara's life. And for Sophia, it had brought not just love, but family, something she'd wanted more than she'd ever admitted. If this story touched your heart, please hit that subscribe button and share it with someone who needs a reminder that second chances and new beginnings can come from the most unexpected places. 6 months after that fateful text message, Darius stood in his living room watching Sophia help Amara with her science fair project. They worked together seamlessly, heads bent over the display board, laughing at some shared joke. The sight filled his heart with a joy he'd thought he might never feel again. That night, after tucking Amara in, Darius and Sophia sat on the couch, her head resting on his shoulder. I have something to ask you, he said, his voice suddenly serious. She sat up, looking at him with curious eyes. What is it? Darius took her hand. These past months have been the happiest I've had in years. You've brought so much into our lives, not just into mine, but into Amara's too. You've both done the same for me, Sophia said softly. I know it might seem fast, Darius continued, but when you know, you know. He reached into his pocket and pulled out a small velvet box. Sophia Reynolds, would you consider becoming a permanent part of our family? Tears filled Sophia's eyes as he opened the box to reveal a delicate diamond ring. Darius, you don't have to answer right away, he assured her. I know it's a big step, especially with Amara. Yes, she interrupted, her voice firm despite her tears. Yes, I'll marry you. She broke into a radiant smile. Nothing would make me happier than being a family with you and Amara. As they sealed their promise with a kiss, Darius marveled at how life could change in an instant. How one mistaken text message could lead to finding love again when he least expected it. The next morning, they told Amara over breakfast. Her reaction was pure joy, followed by practical considerations only an 8-year-old would prioritize. Does this mean Sophia will live here all the time? She asked excitedly. If that's okay with you, Sophia replied, suddenly nervous about the little girl's approval. Amara considered this seriously. Will you help me with homework and stuff, like a mom would? Darius held his breath, but Sophia handled the question with grace. I would love to help you with homework and anything else you need, she said gently. But Amara, I want you to know that I'm not trying to replace your mom. No one could ever do that. Your mom will always be your mom, and she'll always be in your heart. Amara nodded, processing this. I think my mom would like you, she finally declared. She always told me to be kind and brave, and you're both those things. Sophia's eyes filled with tears as Amara came around the table to hug her. Over the little girl's head, she met Darius's gaze, both of them understanding the precious gift they'd been given, a second chance at love, and the opportunity to build something beautiful from unexpected beginnings. 1 year later, Darius stood in the backyard of their new home, watching guests arrive for their housewarming party. Sophia appeared beside him, slipping her hand into his. Happy? He asked. Completely, she replied, leaning into him. Though I still can't believe all this started because you can't text properly. Darius laughed. Best mistake I ever made. Daddy! Sophia! Amara called, running toward them in her party dress. Everyone's here. Can we cut the cake now? As they followed their daughter, for that's what Sophia had become to Amara, a second mother who loved her with her whole heart, Darius reflected on the journey that had brought them here. From a mortifying text message to a love that had healed them all, their story was proof that sometimes life's most embarrassing moments can lead to its greatest joys. In the end, it wasn't just about finding love again. It was about creating a family forged through challenge and choice, bound together by understanding and acceptance. Darius, Sophia, and Amara had found in each other exactly what they needed. Not a replacement for what was lost, but something new and equally precious. If this story touched your heart, please like, subscribe, and share it with someone who needs a reminder that new beginnings can come from the most unexpected places. And I'd love to know, what country are you watching from? Let me know in the comments below. Remember, sometimes our biggest mistakes lead to our greatest happiness. All it takes is the courage to face them and perhaps the wisdom to recognize when an accident might actually be fate in disguise.